Welcome back, haunted travel seekers. So today we are going someplace that has everything. UFOs, ghosts, unexplained phenomena of lights, sounds, plants. I know it's a little weird. And rifts in the veil of the time-space continuum. Where are we talking about? We are talking about the Hoia Baciu forest in Romania. Not just anywhere in Romania. Oh no. It's actually in the Transylvania region of Romania. It's right outside a town called Cluj-Napoca. And this forest dates back to the Neolithic era of about 6500 BC. There have been archaeological digs and whatnot that have determined that there was a society of people living there. Today, though, however, it is actually what would kind of be the equivalent of maybe a national forest like here in the US or a state park where there are bike paths, there are areas for picnicking, people go hiking. However, there's a twist. So, the name of the forest is for a shepherd, Baciu, that one day went into the forest with his 200 sheep and then just disappeared and was never seen again. To this day, no one knows what happened to him or his flock. They're just gone. Poof. And in his memory, they have named the forest after him. Now, there have been other really strange occurrences that have happened throughout the forest. One of the most common tales is of a little girl about 5 years old who went on a picnic trip with her family. And she wandered off. And when her parents went to look for her, they couldn't find her. It was like she had again just disappeared. She reappeared 5 years later in the same clothes. She was the same age, and she was perfectly clean, like she hadn't been gone that long, and she had no memory of the time lapse that had occurred. So, is there a rift in the veil or the time-space continuum in the forest? Your guess is as good as mine. However, though, there are some reports of physical dis-ease that will occur in the forest. Things like migraines, nausea. People will come out of the forest with scratches and with burns, with a sense of being watched. That also may be attributed to the fact that the trees do not grow straight. All of the trees in the forest are kind of gnarled and twisted and look like they're trying to reach out and touch you. And it's because they all grow in a clockwise motion. No one knows why. Scientists have looked into it, but no one can figure out what's going on. And some people associate that maybe the trees, maybe there are spirits in the trees or in the forest that cause the scratches and burns on people. Now, there are other sightings as well. There is an account from 1961. It's known as a soldier's tale. And when it's a group of soldiers were ordered to camp in the forest for a night. And the soldiers experienced an overwhelming sense of dread. They could hear unexplained noises, and they had encountered strange lights and apparitions, including a young girl who just kind of wandered through the camp and then walked through. I don't know if she walked. It says she walked through them, so I'm assuming she walked through the camp, not physically through one of the soldiers. That could be a thing too. She could have walked literally right through one of them. And the events were so traumatic that one soldier was actually committed to a psychiatric ward within days of this happening, and the others all went gray within days of this happening. Some believe that there might be gateways to parallel universes. That's what they think may cause the severe migraines. There's also a lot of records of electronics malfunctioning. Batteries drain, compasses just spin, kind of like Jack Sparrow's, he can't get a heading. Things will just stop working. The GPS signals won't work. And you'll also hear reports of lights. So usually it's red lights, maybe it looks like eyes, or lights just appearing throughout the forest. There is also in this forest a clearing, somewhere I think it's around the center of the forest, and this forest is not very big. So, it covers a square mile or about 3 square kilometers south of the Nodas River. So, it doesn't sound like it's a very big forest, but for a small little place, it's got a lot going on. And in this clearing, it said that nothing grows. That's not technically true. If you've seen episodes of Ghost Adventures or even Expedition X on the Travel Channel or the Discovery Channel, you'll notice that when Zach and the guys went, or Phil and Jessica went from Expedition X, there's grass on the ground, there's tall grasses, there might be wildflowers that grow, but the trees don't grow. It's an almost perfect circle in which it looks like you don't get anything more than grasses and maybe some flowers. Nothing else grows here. And there have been speculations as to why. That maybe there's natural uranium in the ground and that it's a radiation thing and that's why nothing grows. Or certain things don't grow. Maybe that it's the site of a UFO landing and nothing grows. No one really knows what it is. There have been samples taken, however, nothing has been shown to prove why the trees just stop. And nothing, I won't say nothing because you can see there is grass there. Although a lot of articles say nothing grows there. It's like, but there are the people that live there and walk through there is grass. So at least the grass is growing. Now whether it's a scrub grass or just a bunch of weeds, kind of hard to tell, but there is plant life there. But nothing more than that. There are no trees, there's no saplings, there's just maybe flowers and like tall grasses and regular grass. That's it. And that has led to a lot of speculations because a lot of the events that occur tend to occur around this clearing. And if you watched Expedition X, they actually brought in ground penetrating radar, and it looked as though there were graves or there were anomalies in the ground throughout the clearing. I didn't find any of that in my research because I was looking it up and I was curious to see if there had been any follow-up. There may not have been. It doesn't appear to be. So, but that is something else to bear in mind. Now, there is another account from August 18th, 1999. In the central region of the Hoia Baciu forest, near the infamous clearing, there were 5 hikers from Cluj-Napoca, and the group entered the forest in the late afternoon, aiming to explore the area surrounding the clearing. And it was at twilight that the forest started acting up. A lot of accounts, I think, come from nighttime. People may experience stuff during the day, or they may just experience an eerie feeling in certain parts of the forest. But it seems like a lot of the stuff kicks off at night. So they were actually looking for paranormal activity. That's part of the reason why they went to the clearing. And as they were in the clearing, the temperature immediately dropped, so much so that they had to start donning extra layers. Now, mind you, this is August. Now, I don't know what Romania is like in the summer, so, I mean, I know if you're up in the mountains, it gets cooler, significantly so. So I don't know if it's a situation like that or paranormal. We're gonna go with paranormal for the sake of the video. Their compasses were spinning erratically, batteries started draining faster, leaving them without the use of GPS. They could hear footsteps circling them around the group, and there was no cause for this. They couldn't see anyone else in the forest, it was just them. There were voices and whispers and laughter that they could hear, kind of creating this sense of unease because it was always just out of reach. They couldn't see anyone, and when they turned on their flashlights, it looked as though they were figures, humanoid figures darting just out of the beams of light with unnaturally human speed and agility. However, once they finally got out of the forest, they felt better. Their electronics started working again. Those that had started to feel dizzy or reported an oppressive sense that was lightened. And there were, however, other physical ailments. There were rashes, there were burns, there were scratches. However, no one had gotten close enough to anything, and you gotta figure if you're wearing layers of clothing, there's no way you should be able to get, you might get welts or a dull scratch, but you shouldn't get anything that severe. And if you do, your clothing should be ripped, right? There are also 2 reported sightings of UFOs. Now, there's a couple of things I want you to bear in mind. First of all, if you should ever travel to Romania to visit this forest, please be respectful of the land, of the people, and of the legends. A lot of these stories have been passed down throughout generations. And just in general, just be polite and kind to the land so that you can get out of the forest safely. Also, if you do intend to go hiking, please stay on the beaten paths. They actually make note in that one of the articles. The other thing is that if you want to go at night, go on a guided tour or go with a guide, so that way you don't get lost in the maze that is the creepy forest. Now, the other thing I do want to remind you of is that Romania for a long time was a communist country. So in the 1960s, this first incident comes from 1960, and there were numerous reports of UFO sightings. I am not a big UFO person, to be honest, but it does play a role in this video. I was more interested in the ghosts and the spirits, but it comes up often enough that I'm like, I'll put it in. But yeah, there have been numerous sightings and reports of strange lights and unexplained aerial phenomena. In the 1960s, Alexandru Sip captured a photograph of a disc-shaped object hovering over the clearing. And he has a picture of it, and 1968, where Emil Barnia captured a photograph as well of something that appeared to be a flying saucer hovering over the forest. He, however, was not as lucky, I believe, because he was the one that lost his job for bringing it up and did indeed become a legend in the history of the Hoia Baciu forest. However, the government suppressed the information because you're not supposed to believe in the paranormal or anything that you're not told to. So, that it did go down, though, into legend. Okay, so now I have another note here that the Hoia Baciu forest is actually 250 hectares, so it's a perfectly pleasant place for recreation. So if you ever find yourself in Romania and you're looking for stuff to do, you don't want to head over to Blandroful's castle. Maybe check out and see, get a guide, check into the ghost tours, and check out the Hoia Baciu forest and see what you can come up with, what pictures or encounters maybe you'll have. Make sure you bring any kind of protection with you, though, because you don't really want anything following you home. However, it could be a place that's worth checking out at some time. So,